I'm going to share with you today my biggest love story of all times. The biggest love story of all times. And I didn't understand that this was my biggest story of all times until recently. And recently meaning the last 3-4 years, maybe. Maybe I knew it, but I didn't know this was the deepest love story of my life. I mean, I've waited for my soulmate my whole life, and I know my soulmate's out there. But outside of that, I got married twice, and it was horrid. Lots of boyfriends, horrid. But my biggest love story has been my relationship with divinity, my relationship with Source, with the creator of all. I feel like crying when I even talk about God in such a way. It took me also years to accept the word God because there was so much ugliness that was shared about God through religion and cultures and hell and heaven and burning. And God just seemed so fearful. And I say this to my clients a lot. It's like, if you have the belief that God is there to test you, to pay you back, God to believe when to put you in hell and heaven and all that doom and gloom, then your perception of God is a perception of narcissism, which I lived for most of my life. I was studying my religion. I took courses. I traveled across the world to learn more about it. I was trying to understand how to find God, because the God I was taught, and I was kept being taught, I don't know how to phrase it any other way, was a punishing God, loving and kind, but there was so much punishment and tribulations, and a God that takes things away from you that you love to test you. And it was a scary, scary God. And so I searched for a partner my whole life so that I can feel safe. I didn't understand how terrified I was of Source, my creator, until I started to question my own religion, question other religions, and I started to really contemplate and think and see my fears. Terrified. Actually, I was terrified of my creator, of God. I was terrified of the hellfire and what would happen when you die in the grave and the loneliness, and terrified. It took over my body. I was super nice to everybody because I wanted to please God. Look how nice I am to everybody. I'm a doormat as long as everybody can feel better. This is my purpose. Didn't you say that I have to be nice and forgive and all this stuff? And even in the spiritual world, they're teaching that again. It just doesn't end, right? So that you can send me the love of my life, so that you can send me my beautiful soulmate. And then I got married to a narcissist and another narcissist, and I was bashed silly. And I was like, oh, I must be doing something wrong with my life. I must be living wrong, thinking wrong, doing wrong. And then I went into the spiritual realm years ago to figure out, what is the problem here? Why am I marrying narcissists that are killing me? And if you want to know my first story, my second story, then I wrote it, but it's very private. My first story, you can go to Amazon and check out my book, Happily Ever After by Zaben on Amazon. You can purchase it and read it. It's worth the read. You'll really understand a lot of things, and you might relate. And if you don't relate, you must have a friend or a family member that has gone through narcissistic abuse, and you just don't understand why they can't the hell just leave. Read this book. It'll just give you perspective, so that there's more compassion there, even though, yeah, it does drive one crazy to be friends with somebody in a narcissistic abuse. You're like, why can't you think straight? But anyway, so as I went through that, I got angrier at Source. I got angry at it. I'm like, what more can I do? I'm nice to everybody, even if they're mean to me. I hold back and I don't answer back. I'm polite. I'm decent. I'm good. I'm always talking to you, God. Why aren't you taking care of me? Why would you put me in these kinds of relationships? What am I doing wrong? and went into this whole realm of spirituality and spiritual awakening and going through hell and back and losing friends left, right, and center, coming to realize that even my friends that I thought were my friends for years of my life didn't have my back and didn't care about me when I was like in the darkest, because I'm like this optimistic, happy, like uplifter of everybody, like finding myself so alone without anybody there caring for me when I was like in my most vulnerable, wounded, incapable of helping them state, and I was still helping them, but I was just dying. So I needed help, but then people just dispersed, which made me angrier at source, angrier at God. And I was just like, that's it. You know, I'm done with this. There must be something else. And so I went to start searching the true God, the true maker. So I had such a repulsion towards the word God. And I was like, okay, it's divinity, it's source, it's energy, whatever other word I can find for me to connect back to the only thing that makes sense with all the clouds in the skies and the beautiful trees and the birds that fly and the animals and my body and how it was my heart beating alone and my, you know, and my body's doing the thing on its own and I'm growing and my skin stretches and, you know, my hair grows. Like what is doing all this? What is making a tree grow from like a tiny seed, giving birth to children, like a human coming out of another human? It's like a sci-fi horror movie, but yet we do it all naturally, and that's how we procreate here. Like there must be something larger, but I'm not understanding this largeness because I'm programmed through religion and society, and of course the fear. What parents do is like, oh, do that, you'll go to hell when you lie, you'll go to hell. And there's always this, God is watching you. Like, and you feel like God is like this horror movie, like, oh my God, God is watching me. I have to be the best version of myself. That means I have to I'm unworthy. So all day there's this unworthy feeling. I'm like, there must be something else. Especially after I had kids. When I had kids, I was like, I love them so crazy much that I would never want to put them through a tribulation or test their love towards me or ever put them in hellfire or hurt them in any way. And I'm like, and I'm just a human. I'm like a breath of source. And I'm feeling this way when I haven't created these human beings out of me, but they came out of me. So they're a part of me. So I'm a part of divinity. I'm like, there's something off here because all the stuff I'm learning through religions, none of that I would want to do to my children in any form. I don't want to teach them and punish them. I don't want to do any of that. I just want to love them and provide for them and discipline them, yes, and teach them the ways of living, but through generosity, through abundance, through care, through love. And so I read a book called Conversations with God. Now I've had this book for over 20 years. I bought the book and I never read it. And I love books. I have shelves and shelves of books. I've traveled so many parts in the world and I've taken my books everywhere. Okay. So I had that book. I didn't know I had it. I heard about it. And then I traveled to Egypt for 2 weeks, 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And I read that book and I found it there. I was like emptying out some of my books. I wanted to get my books here with me. My ex at the time, when we were traveling to live in Montreal in Canada, told me, don't get any of your books with you. We're not carrying anything. So all my stuff stayed there at my mom's house. And so when I went there with my kids, I was like, oh my God, my books. And I started to smell them and I started to look. I have like intuition, tons and hundreds and thousands of books. And I went through them and I filled up my suitcases with my books. And one of them was Conversations with God by Donald Walsh. Yeah. Anyway, so I decided to read it while I was there. Of course, there was so stressful. I was going through so much emotions. We were in the midst of the pandemic. It was just insanity. And I was sick and tired of fearing source. So I read Conversations with God. And everything shifted. And it's like what I knew in my heart that God was, of love and kindness and there for me, was true. It was like a confirmation. And it added so much more information to me. And things started to shift inside. It just felt like, and it always feels like, God is always taking care of me. Like what I request is always there. And he guides me to it in the easiest of ways, saying, look, you've had this book for 20 years. Even though you've had it for 20 years, now you're open to actually understanding me. That's my truest love story, is Source. Understanding me and loving me the right way, and not fearing me and being terrified of who I am. And not loving me out of fear, but loving me out of love, which is, what a spectacular way to see Source. So my biggest love story was uniting back to God. Being able to say God and have a completely different perspective. Being able to say God and not have any fear, but devotional love, beyond devotional love. Being able to think of God and just teach myself on a daily basis how to have faith and not fear, how to trust, how to know that if God can take care of a tree, of a butterfly, of my heart, of my blood veins, of my eyesight, of my hair particles, of the sun, and like from large to small to an ant, then God's taking care of me. Then there must be so much love for me. Can I open myself up to that? Can I start to perceive God so I don't have fear in my body all the time? And that's my biggest love story. And I think that's all of our biggest, truest love story. I was constantly looking for the sacred partner, soulmate, never a twin flame. That just, even when I say it, resonates really bad. So I wouldn't go for twin flame. These are like the narcissists that appear in your life. And that's my belief. Anyway, just looking for that was truly my search for divinity. My true love, my true one and only love. Your true one and only love is divinity. So even the whole idea of like, well, let me talk to my angels and spirit guides, which I've tried, I've read all, I'm telling you, I've done it all as much as maybe there's more, and I'm sure there is, but I've done it all as in everything possible that I know of. I've tried it, tested it, took the workshop, got certified in. So I talked to my angels and guides. It just didn't feel right. I talked to, aliens and starseeds, and I know I'm one of the starseeds from Mintaka. Anyone from Mintaka, let me know. I know that one of my lifetimes was there as a Mintakan. I understand that. And I tried to do that. I went into different realities and realms. I went into the Akashic records, which I can do easily. I've read the tarots. I've done the pendulums. I've done, I do Reiki healing. I've been in touch with gurus and spiritual guides and deities. But nothing feels truer than just connecting with divinity, just connecting with Source, just connecting with the love of my life, not beings that were created by the love of my life, but the love of my life, divinity, that essence, that beauty, the truth. And I'm still work in progress. I'm still working into more trust, more belief, more trust, more belief, because the program we've been fed and the mind takes over, but then inside there's this knowing, and you can know it too. You can know it too. And I'll tell you how. How can you connect to that? How can you trust that the trust you have inside is really connected to divinity? Let me tell you how. When you hear somebody tell you, which I'm just about to tell you, let go. Let God take care of it for you. Just speak what you want and just know that God is taking care of it for you, and it's taken care of. How do you feel? Before the mind comes in and says, what does it let go mean? What exactly? Do I let go after I put in action? Do I not? But right before the mind takes over with a state of panic, right? And need for control and understanding. The minute I tell you, you know what? God is taking care of you. It's all working out for you. You don't have to put more energy or effort into it. It's all taken care of. It's always going to be taken care of. How does your body feel? That is your sign that trusting is the only way to go, that falling in love with divinity, which means you're falling in love with yourself, but you're falling in love with divinity, the creator of all, the breath of the creator of all is inside of you. So you have to fall in love with the aspects of you, your body, your looks, your personality, your traits. These are aspects of divinity, right? This is what, like when you think of a love story, when two people unite in a love story, all those romantic movies, who are they uniting with? They're uniting back to their own truth. They're in love. And so the best version of them shows up to this partner. They see this version of their partner with such beauty and delights, like they're perfect. And that's how you fall in love with divinity. That's how you fall in love with the creator of all. That's how you fall in love with self. That is the beauty of your love story. So your love story is a journey towards divinity. Your love story is reuniting with your creator, the one and only that deserves this unconditional love, that pours unconditional love back onto you. I highly recommend to read Conversations with God. That is truly going to help you make amends with source and divinity. And you don't have to go to the middleman, right? So in a lot of religions, there's a middleman, right? You have to go to the priest or the sheikh or the rabbi, right, to connect to source. So we've done the same. We've done the same technique, but in spirituality, you're going to go to the angels or to the guides or to the Akashic records to get to divinity or get your answer. No, forget the middle people. These are there to help you, right? But you talk immediately to divinity. There's no barrier between you and God. Your creator is there, constantly available, right? To speak to. You don't need somebody to speak to somebody. You don't need to use a prophet to be like, oh, prophet, could you please tell God that I want this? No, you can say, like, this is what I do a lot of times. I say, by the power of the creator of all, divinity, my beloved, okay? Please allow Archangel Michael and Gabriel to be present with me, right? And strengthen me to deal with this. Or divine creator of all, take care of my day, unfold it in all the best ways possible. Take care of my day. I let go of control of my day. You delight me during this day. So you're constantly communicating with your beloved. That is your true love story. If you want to know more about this topic, let me know. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I have, sharing this, my love story with divinity. It was a very tough journey to get there. It was a truly, truly tough journey, but I'm getting there and I'm still getting there and it feels really good inside. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'm sure a lot of people would love to hear this to feel better inside. I'm sharing truths with you, my personal truth. Your truth could be different. That's okay. Be kind with your comments. Share what inspires you, how this video was of service to you, how it makes you feel, and where you're looking for this video. Love you all deeply and truly. Take care of yourselves, and don't forget to check out my other YouTube channel, Expand with Mel and Rain, especially if you are dealing with narcissistic abuse, toxic people, emotionally immature, anything that has driven you absolutely insane and caused a lot of insecurities in your life. Take care. Bye.